Okay, so week 4 of the 8-week powerful man transformation. So week 1, we looked at who you currently are. Week 2, we look at who it is that you want to become. Week 3, we look at all the reasons why you feel like you can't. And week 4 is where we really start to step into the powerful man that we know we are deep down. And first of all, that begins with looking at our relationship with our father. Now, I'm not sure if you're aware of Dr. Robert A. Glover and his book, No More Mr. Nice Guy, but he's a therapist for men, and he basically goes into detail about how the relationship we have with our father is our initial reference point. And he also talks about a lot of men that have got struggles, or specifically are people pleasers or are nice guys. A lot of these men, myself included in the past, and reading this book has really opened my eyes to a lot of things that I can relate to. He basically goes into detail about how all of these men and all of these traits can be taken back to a point where you either don't have a relationship with your father, or you don't have the relationship that you want to have with your father, or your relationship is just non-existent, really. And the reason why we need to first of all heal our relationship with our father is because if you look at all your relationships with other men, I'm sure that there's a lot of things about your relationships with other men, mates, like family members, even children, all your relationship with men is built around your initial reference point of what a male role model should be, based on your relationship with your father. Now, if you've got a shit relationship with your dad, you think he's a shit person, all these sort of negative feelings that you have around the relationship with your dad, or about your dad specifically, will start to play out in other areas of your life. So week 4, we really start to look at the relationship that you have with your father, or don't have with your father. And this is where we start to look at how can you either accept the relationship that you've got with your father, or how can you actually start to create the type of relationship that you actually do want with your father. And once we start to move through this, all the other relationships that you have with men will start to improve. And I don't know if you're anything like me, but for me this was hugely powerful, because for the most part of my life, I have struggled with actually having deep relationships with other men, and I've always craved this need to have a just decent, loving, non-judgmental relationships with men. And until I actually looked at my relationship with my own father, it never really, I could never really work out why the relationships that I had with other men in my life weren't exactly how I wish they were. Now, I'm not saying by doing this, your relationships will instantly transform, but it gives you that awareness to actually start looking at, right, so this is how I feel about that first man in my life. And then once you can start to look at that, you can then start to look at the parts of inside yourself where you're either reaching out for external validation, or you're afraid to actually let others see. So this is why this part is hugely powerful in your transformation. Now, the following week, so week 5, we also look at healing the relationship that we've got with our mother. And I'll share more details about that, obviously, in the next video. But first of all, we need to heal the relationship that we have with our father.